Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be we're looking at August 23. Can you believe we're coming up to August, the 8th month of the year? Where has the time gone? It's just flown. It has flown. So yes, we're going to be exploring the planetary shifts that will be happening throughout August. And we'll also get into your horoscopes. So yes, how are we doing? I do actually want to share something before we get into this, though. Just sort of following on from the full moon in Aquarius video where I was talking to you about certain Disney movies that I was watching. Hi, Danielle. Hi, Derek. Hi, Rumblefish14. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. So anyway, I want to just share a little quote from the most recent Disney movie that I watched. Just to give some context here, I really want to watch the classic Disney movies whilst Venus is retrograde in Leo. I just want to take the month of August to revisit my youth, to revisit those fantasies, those stories, those myths, those characters. So yes, the most recent film was The Sword in the Stone. And in it, so there's Arthur, who is the young boy who pulls the sword from the stone. And then there is Merlin, who is the wizard that sort of trains Arthur, guides him, provides him with knowledge, teaches him. Actually, I think that knowledge is power. Anyway, Merlin says to Arthur that love is perhaps the greatest force on earth. And I just thought that that was so Venus retrograde. And it's something that I want to think more about because I think the word love within itself is so much more profound and deeper. And I think that a lot of the times we can say love, but what does that mean? What does love truly mean? And perhaps Venus in Leo, the retrograde, is a good opportunity for us to discover that for ourselves. Of course, Leo is the sign tied to the heart. So on that note, let's get into August. Not going to ramble here for as long as I did the last time. August, here we go. Again, can't believe we're coming to August. Can't believe it. The years just fly by faster and faster the older you get. So I just want to inform you about a few astrology products that I have available. I have eBooks, a guide, cheat sheets, I have merch. These products can all be found on my website, hannahselsewhere.com. And then I also have an Etsy. So the Etsy shop is Hannah's Elsewhere. Everything's linked down below, by the way. But with the Etsy shop, you can find all of those digital products there. All right, so these are the major shifts that are happening this month. As you can see, we have 2 full moons this month. Of course, the full moon in Pisces occurs pretty much the last day of August, 30 days in September, April, June, and November. Okay, the day before the last. I had to remember how many days. Is it 30 days or 31 days in August? But yes, we have the full moon in Aquarius on the 1st of August. Then we have the new moon in Leo on the 16th of August. And then we have the full moon in Pisces on the 30th of August. We also have 2 retrogrades that will be happening this upcoming month. Okay, so we have the Mercury retrograde. There's going to be a video about Mercury retrograde in Virgo happening. So that will be out tomorrow night, but we'll touch on it today briefly. And then Uranus will also station retrograde in Taurus at the end of August. Juno will also enter Leo just before the new moon in Leo. And then the sun will conjunct Black Moon Lilith in Leo. Now, these transits I have already made a video about. You can check out that video. It's up on my channel. I haven't linked it down below, but maybe I will once I am done with this live today. but you can basically find that video in the list. And then we'll also touch on a couple of interesting aspects. So Jupiter will square Venus retrograde. Mars will also oppose Neptune retrograde around the 22nd. Then Virgo season will begin. And then right after that, Mercury will station retrograde in this sign. Mars will then also enter Libra after being in Virgo for the past while. So these are the major areas we're going to be looking at. So firstly, the full moon in Aquarius, there's already a video about this up. The full moon will take place on the 1st of August. So opening this month, we have this full moon. Of course, looking to the number 9 in numerology here, it's a 9-degree full moon. So this is a moon of social wisdom, becoming enlightened, becoming awakened to something new, something different, looking at change, basically. And of course, when it comes to full moons, there's a lot of releasing that happens. So this could be where we are releasing dispassion, we are releasing tactlessness, rudeness, extremes, being too overly headstrong. And another thing is there will be this in conjunction to Mercury and Mars in Virgo there, which we briefly touched on in the full moon in Aquarius video. And also there will be a fixed T-square during this full moon. And then Mars will also trine Jupiter. So there are just a few different things to keep in mind. But again, just go to the full moon in Aquarius video for more information there. Also, we will be shining a light on our freedom, okay? Our inventions and our unconventional way of doing things, bringing some sort of awareness to these areas or illuminating these qualities. Perhaps many of us will reap rewards to do with our communities, our original thoughts, kindness, surprise, shock. And it's also about asking ourselves during this full moon, what is holding you back from being unique? What is holding you back from being independent? And of course, resetting these things and resetting our future hopes and visions. Of course, there was a new moon at the beginning of January 2023. So keep in mind the intentions that you set around this time period, okay? And then there was also that new moon in 2022, February 1st, and this was at 12 degrees, so very close to that degree of the full moon in Aquarius. So that's also something to keep in mind in terms of intention setting. I know for myself, I turned 30 this year, so in 2022. And my intentions were strongly tied to my health and my work. And of course, I do have Aquarius in the 6th house. Lastly, then, illuminating innovation and our quirks. Juno will enter Leo then from the 15th of August until the 17th of October. So the last time Juno was in Leo was from June 20th until the 23rd there, so August 23rd, 2019. So try to maybe even think about what came up for you with respect to meaningful bonds, meaningful relationships, especially how these things are associated with romance and passion, desire, attention, validation. This could even be where we seek to experience pleasure with our partners or with our close friends, etc. And do remember that Venus is currently retrograde in Leo, so it's following this path. Juno will follow the path of this Venus this Venus energy in Leo. And once Venus does turn direct, both Venus and Juno will conjunct loosely until October. There will be a same degree conjunction as well throughout September. Now, again, I have made a video about this as well, so I will link that. I will post that. So it's quite good because, you know, this information is me briefly touching on these shifts, right? But because there are longer videos available, you can get more information. And again, perhaps what I'll do at the end of this live stream today is I will link these videos below. Okay, so the videos that I mentioned. Another thing is commitment, marriage, union with a focus, okay, with dignity, with loyalty, with faithfulness, with nobility. What does it mean to be truly faithful, and who are you faithful to? Where do your loyalties lie? This Juno energy will also be a time period, you know, of strength and really looking toward confidence once again, seeing these themes. And of course, these themes to do with being playful and entertaining and looking at the give and take. Let's remember that Juno whilst it is the asteroid of marriage and commitment and meaningful bonds, it's also this asteroid that can be tied to betrayal, infidelity. It can be tied to compromise, the give and take. So let's just say with Venus retrograde being in Leo right now, and then Juno coming along and following that path, many discussions here coming up for a lot of couples, a lot of even friends, okay, partnerships, even business partnerships, a lot of discussions to do with trust, faithfulness. Are you being truthful? What are your intentions? Where's the compromise? Where's the give and take? So the new moon then in Leo will happen on the 16th of August. Also, I just want to take a moment to say Luma, hello, hi, and CK Love, hi. I hope you are doing well. Hope you're having a good day so far. So this new moon will take place at 23 degrees. So there will be a video that will come out about this, but just to touch on it briefly, the 23 degree then looks at 5 in numerology. So this is really planting new seeds to do with our inner child, our youthfulness, okay, our interests, performance. Now, once more, this is why we got to keep in mind Venus retrograde. So what is coming up for you whilst Venus is retrograde? So even thinking about from the 22nd of July, when it turned retrograde, right up until the 16th of August mark. So yeah, pay attention to really what comes up for you with respect to your interests and with respect to your hobbies, your inner child, romance, love, because this is a new moon of setting new intentions. Okay. And I suppose as well, just following on from this point, 23 degrees, well, Venus retrograde is going to be on that path, right? It's following that same path, and it's going to hit that 23-degree mark. And at the same time, this is a moon of adventure, confidence, excitement, with it being the number 5 in numerology. So do keep these qualities in mind. I do like to look at the numerology as well for a little bit of a more, for a more flavor, let's just say, about the moons. Also, there will be a square to Uranus at 23 degrees, the same degree as the new moon. So expect the unexpected, okay? Sudden changes, sudden shifts, differences, breakthroughs, innovation, new ways of doing things, new approaches, new strategies. Then there will also be that conjunction to Venus retrograde and Lilith. Okay, it may not be exact, but it will be there, I think. I think it still represents some type of influence. So with the conjunction there between with Venus retrograde and Lilith, I think that there's a lot of repressed feelings that could very well come to the surface or be felt strongly. And it's about being able to integrate these feelings, to integrate these emotions, and then also liberating ourselves to a great extent due to how Lilith is tied to liberation and freedom. We will also be reflecting on our vitality and our enthusiasm, even just thinking about your passions and what makes you feel alive, right? Of course, the sun, Leo, so this archetype, right? The sun and Leo, this archetype is tied to our vitality. And Leo season is a season where it's about, okay, it is time to step into your power, so to speak. It is time to recognize that you are an individual and you can express yourself and that you have something of value to add. And it's just really about knowing yourself, understanding just even how it is that you express yourself and being okay with how you express yourself. And then that, of course, requires self-assurance, that requires confidence. And it's even a season of self-actualization. It's a season of trying to really live up to our fullest potential, to see your potential, and to even just experience moments of happiness and joy and being playful and positive. Of course, this isn't to say that it's about being playful and positive all the time, but still, Leo season highlights these types of things. Now, what did you shed then back in February? Because, of course, there was that full moon in Leo that happened of this year, but also during February 2020, because there was a 20-degree full moon in Leo back then, and this new moon, of course, is happening around this similar degree, right? 23 degrees near the 20 degree. So really, what did you release? What did you shed around February? Now, the thing is, of course, with this is there was that self-expression reset. And then this is also about paying attention to our creativity, how we shine, how we gain recognition. But I think was something that I tried to mention in the full moon in Aquarius video was just about how it's more about being genuine and authentic. It's more about being honest with ourselves, and it's not necessarily about doing things for the pat in the back, for attention, for recognition. It's doing something because you genuinely want to do it. You genuinely want to create, and then the recognition may very well come, and that can feel amazing and wonderful. But Leo still shows up as do the thing because your heart wants to, because there is a desire there. There's a genuine love for it. But overall, this new moon in Leo is about individuality, self-acceptance, and being proud of who we are. Now, the Sun will conjunct Lilith on the 17th of August, and the last time Black Moon Lilith was conjunct the Sun in Leo was the 12th of August, 2014. Again, this is something that I touched on in a recent video, but perhaps it's good to ask yourself, what happened for you? What happened for you with respect to sexuality, desires, repression, liberation, seduction? Just drawing from my own experience, that was not a fun time for me personally, relationship-wise, romantic-wise, it was not. But I have been able to learn so much, and I've been able to make peace with a lot of things, and I've been able to move forward in ways that I feel happy about, I feel good about. Also, this conjunction can be very loud. I said that like loud when it should be the opposite. I kind of whispered loud when it should be yelling. But anyway, yeah, this conjunction may be very loud, dramatic, a mood that we love. All right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So I would say that this is about really tapping into those types of feelings and even looking at being wild and uh, looking at temptation, also looking even at rage and screaming and getting the energy out, or even just feeling alive and getting this rush of excitement. This could be a very adventurous time, coming into Leo season with the new moon in Leo, this conjunction here in Leo. Perhaps many of us get swept up in something, or many of us are like demanding attention and respect. That's maybe something to be cautious of. Then again, if it is that we feel like we're being pressured or bossed around, or we're being diminished or ridiculed or judged, then yeah, this part of us could very well come out where it's like, no, hold on, there's a pushback then. Still, this could very well be a time period of doing something adventurous, risky, daring, okay, being brave. It makes me think of The Lion King when Simba goes, I'm gonna come at you all with the Disney scenes, because this is what I've been watching the past couple of days, and I'm going to continue to be watching Disney movies for the next few weeks. So I hope you're okay with that. But Simba, when he goes into the elephant graveyard, and I think Nala is trying to warn Simba about going up to the big skulls, and it's like, no, it's dangerous. And Simba goes up to it and goes, I laugh in the face of danger. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. Basically, this could be a conjunction, a time period of us in a way laughing in the face of danger for ourselves, doing something that is somewhat dangerous or tempting, or doing something that's very daring and bold. And then lastly, I want to mention that the Sun, Lilith, and Venus retrograde will be in Leo, plus Juno right after the new moon will enter Leo. Juno right after the new moon in Leo takes place at 23 degrees. Yeah. So yes, there is that. Okay, so let's move on to a couple of aspects. So these are two aspects that I wanted to touch on. because of retrograde, the retrograde being involved. Then also there's Neptune retrograde, which will oppose Mars. So Jupiter will square Venus retrograde. This will happen around the 27th, or both of these aspects I just want to mention. Okay, this is it. Both of these aspects will happen around the 22nd of August. So this is what I thought was quite notable about these aspects. So this will happen a few days after the new moon, right before Virgo season begins. Keep in mind it begins on the 23rd of August. And then, of course, keep in mind that Venus direct, so this is previous, was square Jupiter around the 10th to the 20th of June. So remember how we were asked to count our blessings and to see where we took things or people for granted around that time? Yeah, this is about taking another look, reassessing. Your heart knows, your higher self knows. How have you been guided when it comes to love since then? How have you been guided when it comes to counting your blessings and thinking even about this whole question of who do you take for granted? Do you take yourself for granted? These types of questions. And then the last time Mars opposed Neptune retrograde, let's look at this aspect. This was on the 3rd of September 2021 at 22 degrees. So this could be where we feel quite unclear about how we act and about what we truly see. So just be cautious of illusions, trickery. There could be very well something quite humbling about accepting the reality of a situation, accepting it for what it is. And perhaps in a way, because these two aspects are happening around the same time, they may even link into each other if you kind of consider it. Yeah. So, and I suppose in a way, I mean, Jupiter is one of the dispositors of Neptune there being in Pisces. So yeah, there are these connections coming up that we're noticing. Still, I just think that this could very well be a time period where we gotta just accept something for what it is, or be able to remove ourselves from anything that's too uh, it's too much tied to things like smokes and mirrors. It's like maybe that thing isn't healthy, or we could convince ourselves that it is healthy, thinking even about dependencies, thinking about escapism, thinking about any sort of people who try to misguide us. Yeah. So just, I would say with this particular aspect, to make sure that you're very clear about things. But at the same time, I do understand that wherever Neptune is, it can suggest like, maybe it's best just to step back, or to take some time away to think things through. All right. Now, Virgo season will begin on the 23rd of August. So we'll be going from spontaneous, vitality, aliveness, confidence, to being methodical, to being dedicated, to being somewhat more of service. From taking center stage to working on a craft without being in the spotlight. Mercury retrograde in Virgo, of course, will start the same day, and then it will conjunct Pallas in Virgo. There will be more information about this, which there will be a video coming out tomorrow. And by the time that's up, then of course I'll have everything linked down below, like I'm saying here. And then this is also about focusing on our health, our problem solving, our stress levels as well, time management, timekeeping, our routines, our schedules, our everyday tasks and responsibilities, shining a light on how we improve, how we perfect, how we clean up our act, and then even hygiene. And do keep in mind, of course, Mars has been in Virgo since the 10th of July. And so throughout this time period, we have been certainly motivated and driven by these areas. I know I certainly have. I mean, I have a Virgo rising, and with Mars transiting my first house right now, I feel so energized. I still get certain periods where it's like, oh, I just need to relax here. Still got Venus retrograde as well, going on in my 12th house. But yes, I like the energy that I've been getting the past week or so, past couple of weeks actually. Also, humility when it comes to your ego, being able to adjust and get rid of what isn't working well. Of course, that requires humility. In order to change something, in order to improve, in order to get rid of something that is no longer healthy or no longer serving us, we got to be humble. We got to be honest with ourselves as well. All right, so the Mercury retrograde in Virgo. So let's just touch on it quickly. This will happen from the 23rd of August until the 15th of September. So do keep in mind that Mercury is both exalted and at home in Virgo. So this is quite a notable retrograde. Now, the last time Mercury was in Virgo, or was retrograde in Virgo rather, was actually last year. Now, of course, it was still in Libra and Virgo, all right? But there was still a bit of Virgo involved. So maybe even just try to think about anything that you looked at that time period with respect to your habits, your routines. But then this is also, again, a retrograde of revisiting our routines and habits. Anything that's outdated, anything that needs improved, anything that's old. Yeah, reassessing these areas, reassessing the details of your delivery, realigning your ideas, your message, your input, any data collection, anything you're learning about, anything that you're researching. This is also about revisiting how practical and productive our communication is, even thinking about learning itself. And this is also highly purifying at retrograde, being able to break something down into its simplest form, being able to cleanse and purify, and then looking also at accuracy and correctness and efficiency, using good judgment, being discerning, okay, using discernment. Mars, as I say, ushered in a time period of us keeping on top of our everyday goals and tasks. And again, looking at health, looking at our body as well. But then with that, Mercury will enter Virgo at the end of July. And so with Mercury retrograde, we will revisit our practical and efficient findings. It's a good time period then for us to think about, okay, what came up when Mars was in Virgo to do with our energy levels, our drives, our motivations, how we took action. So yeah, you think about that, you reflect on that, and then you can use then your mindset or your thoughts to go, maybe there's a new approach. Maybe there's a new strategy there. Of course, even remember with the full moon, which is coming up in Aquarius, so that is going to be on the 1st of August, Saturn retrograde will oppose Mars in Virgo at 5 degrees. Saturn retrograde will be in Pisces. So I think that time period may very well point toward many of us recognizing what needs to shift so that we can experience less mental fatigue, experience less stress. Mars in Virgo can be a very stressful time for many people, especially if you're not used to it. If you're not used to this Mars and Virgo energy, if you're not used to Earth energy, even in your chart, it can be a very stressful time, and even a time period where there's a lot of criticism or just beating yourself up because it's difficult to keep up with the day-to-day stuff. Still, I think that Mercury retrograde then is going to be a really healing time in this way for many of us. It can really help us when it comes to revisiting, just as I say, what isn't working. And even Virgo rules the digestive system, right? So Mercury retrograde being in Virgo all the way, take your time. This really is about just chewing over thoughts, chewing over a situation, thinking it over, taking a moment, okay, allowing for things to settle and sit to see how they feel, processing the information slowly, but also in beneficial, productive ways, in constructive ways. Virgo is a highly constructive physical sign. It's about being practical when it comes to taking in information and also when it comes to delivering information. All right, so it's also about using discretion when it comes to romantic, financial, and pleasure matters. Do keep in mind that Venus retrograde will also be in Leo for a time period when Mercury retrograde is in Virgo. We'll actually experience both Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde from the 23rd of August until the 3rd of September. So do pay attention to both of your pay attention to your Leo house and your Virgo house. Then lastly, Mercury will trine Jupiter retrograde. And so this will have us reviewing the bigger picture with respect to our security. Now that's going to be on the 3rd of September. I know that's not August, but I just wanted to add that at the very end. So Mars then will enter Libra toward the end of August, so from the 27th of August until the 12th of October. So the last time Mars was in Libra was 2 years ago. So from September until the end of October 2021. And the interesting thing I think about this is with Venus turning direct from the 3rd of September, and then with Mars being in Libra, many people will be moving forward within their relationships. I just think, especially with Juno also being in Leo, with the conjunction that I was telling you about a moment ago, and again, check out that video. But I think that with that information plus Mars in Libra, okay, this Venus ruled sign, I'm telling you, a lot of people are going to be recognizing and realizing so many things, so many truths about their relationships and what they want out of relationships, and even what they want when it comes to business deals, collaborations, partnerships, even with the South Node being in Libra right now. Okay, so it's really asking ourselves, who is on your team? Who's on your side? Who's the team player? Who are you joined with? Who can you collaborate with? Who do you depend on? Considering your relationships, truly trying to see eye to eye, trying to be fair, trying to ensure that there is some sort of healthy give and take, but often things can be out of balance. So this is about being able to look at those things, to address those things. And you could say that it's with Mars being in Libra, it's about being somewhat assertive when it comes to our relationships, when it comes to the balance. But at the same time, seeing as Libra does have a reputation for not being so head on, and it's more subtle, it's not so direct. This is when things may become a little bit more tricky. And I think that the North Node in Aries is strongly pointing toward how, okay, it is really time to be somewhat more direct. Now, with the same token, there is still a big part of Libra energy that can be diplomatic, looking even at being a mediator, or looking at being able to weigh out one's options and to see different perspectives, etc. And I would also say that we can motivate others and we can be motivated by others, and we can direct others. You know, Mars and Libra actually can be quite good at directing people, but it's in this somewhat pleasing way. It's in a diplomatic way. It's in a fair, responsible, sensible, rational way. Okay. So yeah, I think that Mars being in Libra throughout this period will assist us in a way when it comes to how we handle relationships in this more diplomatic, fair way. And it's also looking at how we can compromise when it comes to wants. Okay, or even how we can meet people in the middle. But with the same token, what can't be compromised within relationships? What are the non-negotiables for you when it comes to relationships? And then the other thing that I want to mention, the last thing, is Mars in Libra can suggest us rationalizing anger, thinking it through, even just taking a moment when it comes to making decisions or taking action. So I would say with the rationalizing anger thing, I think that there can be a part of it where Libra doesn't really like to deal with the messy stuff, okay? It's not pleasing. They can maybe avoid conflict at times, okay? And then with the rationalizing anger type of thing, that can maybe even do more harm than good. But on the other side of this, I would also say that being able to actually take a moment to think for a minute and to not necessarily lash out with our anger, that can also be healthy as well. Okay. It depends. This is the thing, I think, when it comes to astrology, is really depends on the context of the situation. It depends on what you are experiencing. And it also depends upon your life, right? The way you experience these shifts, the way you experience your transits, and even linking them back to your personal natal chart. Okay, so Uranus will also start to retrograde in Taurus. And that will be from the 20th of August until January 2024. So this is going to be a long one. So this is about reviewing your financial systems and strategies. It's a good time for upskilling. This has been necessary throughout this transit, the whole importance of upskilling, especially upskilling online. Businesses are having to adapt. Have you noticed that with Uranus being in Taurus? Really having to adapt, having to innovate. And it makes sense. It makes sense when everything is online today. Well, most things are online. You think about the many businesses that have unfolded. You think about the amount of influencers there are, or social media personalities there are. Thinking about designers or even astrologers, just whatever area, there's just a lot of people. There's a lot of people. So I think Uranus in Taurus has, in a way, been really helpful in that, yes, it's a good opportunity to earn money from technology, being online, looking at inventions, creations, etc. But it also looks at having to really adapt. And that can be tricky. Taurus, even within itself, is this very steady, stable sign, and having to adapt, having to adjust, having to change. It's like, oh my gosh, challenging. It can be hard to keep up, right? It can be. But it's still about thinking outside of the box, okay? Having more of a creative edge. This is about creating progress and change. So basically, with Uranus retrograde being in Taurus for the next few months, taking another look at these things. And this is also a time period that has brought themes surrounding financial innovation, breaking self-worth patterns, security disruptions, unique talents. It's all making sense. And even detaching from greed. And then this is also by questioning the very stability of our choices. So reconsidering these things. And what alternatives have you not seen yet? This retrograde is a great opportunity to really review these things. And then lastly, there I've said non-conformity when it comes to our resources. And lastly, then, the full moon in Pisces will happen on the 30th of August, and this will take place at 7 degrees, 7 in numerology. I mean, so fitting, because this is going to be a spiritual moon due to it being in Pisces, but then with the number 7, it also adds a layer of spiritual understanding and insight. Love it. Now, this full moon will also conjunct Saturn retrograde. It will also sextile Jupiter. Jupiter, of course, being one of the dispositors of this full moon. We'll talk more about that closer to the time, but those are just some aspects that I wanted to bring to your attention. We will be releasing dependency, emotional crutches, shining a light on trust, guidance, healing, compassion, hospitality. I mean, let's remember just how hospitable is that the word? Basically what I'm trying to say is just how giving Pisces can be, how charitable Pisces can be. Pisces can be that energy where it's like, oh yeah, I'll take you in under my wing. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll give you a room, or yeah, I can help you out there. So yeah, basically shining a light on these types of acts. And then reaping rewards to do with our devotions, our sacrifices, karma, our dreams, mobility as well. Pisces can be such a mobile, flexible, fluid sign, such a merging sign as well. And then considering what is holding you back from being changeable, from being inspirational, what's holding you back from following your dreams, so to speak. And then this is also about resetting our inner knowing, looking at our spirituality, okay? Looking at transcendence, looking at our connections to a higher source, a higher power, prayer, looking even at resetting your spiritual practices, being able to really look at those areas, or even looking at the ways in which you surrender. Now, there was that new moon at the end of February 2023, and then also the new moon on the 2nd of March 2022. So that was at 12 degrees, very close to the 7 degrees. So consider what intentions you set when it came to these themes. And then lastly, there, illuminating romance, and then thinking about healing as well. Okay, so that is basically the overview of August, some of the major shifts that are coming. I just want to say I wanted to keep it very brief today. I just wanted to stick to the slides as much as possible instead of talking and talking and talking, because I realized that there was just a lot in the previous horoscopes video, and I think the most beneficial thing for you is to look at your horoscopes. So I hope you are enjoying this live stream so far, and I hope that you find your horoscopes to be useful. And then I also just want to mention before we get into this, I will put the timestamps in the description box, or even in the comment section. I'll put it in the comment section, but give me a little while to get those up. Okay, so Aries, here we go, Aries. So for you, what is standing out to me is how this Mercury retrograde, let me just actually get my pen and paper a moment to keep up with this. Hello, creator, welcome. Hope you're well. And then we'll start again. Just want to take down a couple of notes to keep myself right. In time for your sun sign. Oh, so you're in Aries? I accidentally wrote the word Aries there because I said it out loud. Oh, that's so funny. Okay. Oh, that's good. Uh-huh. And then we'll go to, yeah. Okay, let's just read through this quickly. So, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's take it from the top. Okay, Aries. So, Aries. Throughout August, you will essentially be shining a light on your creativity, your children, your passions, and your interests. And then there will be the full moon in Aquarius that will have you releasing and shedding with respect to your communities, your groups, your teams, the organizations that you're a part of, even thinking about any non-conforming ideas that you have. So really illuminating these areas for you, perhaps even reaping rewards when it comes to these very areas. And with Juno entering Leo and then the new moon happening in Leo the next day, I think that you will be setting new intentions to do with these creative areas for you, okay? Especially with Venus retrograde being in the 5th house for you right now, you are revisiting things to do with your creativity, your identity, your individuality, your self-expression. Again, thinking about children, thinking about your hobbies. But then the new moon will get you setting new intentions when it comes to these very areas. And then even with Juno being there, I think there is a great deal of, commitment present, thinking even about establishing meaningful bonds there. And with Mercury retrograde happening in your 6th house throughout August, you will be reassessing your systems, reassessing your health, reassessing your stress levels, time management, your services. And with even Virgo season starting throughout August, you will then be shining a light on these very areas as well. And with Mars then happening in Libra toward the end of August, so with that shift into your 7th house, I think that this is about you being somewhat assertive and direct when it comes to relationship matters. Of course, being fair, being diplomatic, being tactful at the same time. But I think that this is about you really seeking to see, okay, we're aligned, are we? How aligned are we? How can we negotiate within this situation? How can we see where the other person is coming from, for example? Then with Uranus turning retrograde in Taurus toward the end of August in your 2nd house, well, let's consider how Jupiter has been there in your 2nd house, and it has been highlighting then how you can expand, how you can grow when it comes to your resources, your skills, your talents. But then with Uranus retrograde, this is about you reassessing then breakthroughs or changes or any differences that you wish to make. And then lastly, with the full moon happening in Pisces, this is going to happen in your 12th house. This will happen on the 30th of August, of course. So with both Saturn retrograde and Neptune retrograde being there in your 12th house, I think with the full moon in Pisces happening, I would just say to maybe take some time to truly recharge. Okay, it's going to be quite a potent, quite a powerful full moon, I think, because of the fact that Saturn and Neptune are both there. But yes, and also with the conjunction to Saturn at the time. So yes, I think this is about you just taking a moment to truly re-strengthen, to recharge, retreat, but then also perhaps releasing, shedding when it comes to your spiritual values, your spiritual practices, any dependencies. And that's pretty much you, Aries. You said ghost, you said already feel this. I'm assuming you have an Aries rising, or you have the Aries sun, moon, or rising. So yeah, you said you can feel these things. All right. And hello, Ryan, to you. And hello to you, Ghost, as well. Okay, so Taurus, let's move on to you. Throughout August, you will shine a light upon family-related matters, okay? So thinking about your living situation, thinking about your privacy, your emotional security. And then there will also be this full moon that will happen in your 10th house throughout August. So looking at how you will be shedding and resetting and releasing when it comes to your career path, any accomplishments, any achievements of yours. This is also about resetting a few things to do with recognition, authority, thinking even about just your public image, what you're known for, illuminating these things, okay? And possibly even reaping rewards when it comes to these areas. And there will also be that new moon in Leo that will happen in your 4th house right after Juno enters Leo throughout August. So what I'll say with this is, of course, with Venus currently being retrograde in Leo for you, you really are revisiting these family relationships of yours, looking even at property where you wish to settle down, even thinking about just past events that have come up for you, or even looking at anything that's quite sentimental. So, with the new moon happening in Leo, this is about you setting new intentions when it comes to these very things, okay? And even just seeing what else you would like to achieve in a way, what else you can sort of gain. And then with Juno even being in Leo, this is about you then seeing, okay, what about the actual meaning, the substance, the quality here when it comes to your living situation, when it comes to your home. There's just so much coming up for you when it comes to your housing, your housing situation, your living situation. And then even I would also say focusing upon your emotional security, like what you need in order to feel safe and secure and supported. So maybe even Juno in Leo is highlighting, okay, what are those commitments, and how can you even commit to yourself, or what is it that you even need from family or from loved ones when it comes to your own emotional security in a way. And then with Mercury retrograde happening in your fifth house throughout August, this is about you revisiting. Okay, here we go. Keep in mind that the fifth house is the house traditionally ruled by Leo. Revisiting romance itself and dating and love, and even considering then the strategies, the systems which exist when it comes to your creativity, when it comes to creative visualization and self-expression, and just rethinking then your individuality and shining a light also upon your individuality and how it is that you express yourself there, with the sun entering Virgo throughout August as well. And then with Mars then will of course enter Libra toward the end of August in your sixth house. So this could be quite a dedicated, ambitious time for you when it comes to your services, when it comes to refining your skills, thinking about co-worker relationships, employers. I think you'll want to really assert yourself when it comes to your services and your occupation. But this is also, I think, about you standing up for yourself in many respects, really seeing, in terms of equality or fairness. And if things do not feel very fair, I think you're going to feel a type of way about it. And then even with Uranus, so Uranus will start to retrograde in your first house. Um, I do apologize, but I apologize about this, but Uranus and Jupiter in this one, Taurus, should be in the first house, not in the second house in Gemini. I do apologize about that. I do sincerely apologize. Anyway, so yeah, like I was saying there, Uranus retrograde will happen in your first house, okay? And Jupiter is already there, it has been there. And so you have been even thinking more about your worldviews, your wider visions, considering how you can expand upon your aims and your ambitions, how you can add to the things that you wish to achieve in a way, and even looking at your overall direction and just having this optimism or this faith, wanting to achieve great things. And then with Uranus then stationing retrograde in your first house, I think you will also just seek to review, to reassess what changes you can make along the way. Okay, what differences you can make, which ways can you innovate, and what breakthroughs can perhaps you make as well. Perhaps there will be a few sudden changes that will happen or disruptions that will happen. And then lastly, the full moon in Pisces, that will happen at the very end of August in your 11th house. So there's a lot here to do with your groups, your communities, how it is that you feel supported, how secure you feel within your groups and communities, especially with Saturn being there. Of course, Saturn and Neptune will both be retrograde, they both are retrograde, and then with the full moon being in Pisces as well, it's going to really illuminate these things, I think, for you, illuminating friendship matters, illuminating how it is that you join in, illuminating your non-conforming ideas, and also being able to shed, being able to release, being able to let go. Okay, so Gemini. All right, so throughout August for you, Gemini, you, of course, will be shining a light upon the ways in which you share, teach, communicate, thinking here about the delivery of information. Also, do you know what? We'll take it from the top in a minute, Gemini. I just want to say, Danielle, I know you have a Taurus rising, and thank you so much, Danielle. And I really hope that you find your horoscope to be useful today. So, right, Gemini. Throughout August, you will be shining a light on the ways in which you communicate, deliver information, the ways in which you think as well, even considering short distance travel, considering the neighborhood that you live in, your local area, okay? And there will be this full moon in Aquarius that will happen in your 9th house throughout August. So you will be shedding and releasing with respect to your deeply held beliefs, with respect to advanced training, even considering publishing, broadcasting, teachings as well, your teachings. So you will things will be illuminated basically, okay, when it comes to these areas. And also perhaps you will reap rewards when it comes to the communities there, the communities that you're a part of with respect to any teachings or publications, etc. Then there will be that new moon in Leo that will happen throughout August, just after Juno enters Leo. So with Venus even being retrograde in Leo for you, this has been a time period of you retracing your steps when it comes to the ways in which you value communication, looking at how you can relate to other people, looking at how it is that you speak and interact with other people, revisiting those discussions, or even revisiting the types of relationships that you have with siblings or cousins or your peers or your classmates, even old school friends, etc. So with the new moon happening in Leo, I think this is about you setting new intentions, right? When it comes to these very areas. And also looking at, okay, like who is meaningful then? Who do I feel like there is loyalty, there's commitment, there's some sort of devotion there when it comes to these types of relationships of yours? And of course, Mercury will retrograde in your 4th house. So there's a lot coming up for you to do with family discussions, to do with where you live, to do with where you're situated, to even thinking about homemaking itself and how it is that you attend to your interior, the inside of your home, even thinking about gardening there. Maybe there's some adjustments that you want to make or changes you want to make. Even with the sun then entering Virgo throughout August, you will shine a light on these areas as well. And then looking at Mars being in Libra, so there will be that shift toward the end of August. Mars will enter your 5th house. So there's a lot of passion here. There's a lot of desire when it comes to romance and love and dating, a lot of passion and desire when it comes to your hobbies, your interests, the things that bring you joy and excitement and happiness. So yeah, I think you will want to assert yourself, okay? You'll feel motivated and driven by these types of areas as Mars does enter Libra. And then I also think that there's a level of justice and fairness and tact when it comes to your romantic relationships coming up. Then Uranus will retrograde toward the end of August in your 12th house. So with Jupiter being in your 12th house, what can I say here, Gemini? There's just a lot going on for you when it comes to the time you spend alone. I think that this Jupiter energy in Taurus is really looking at how you can just feel more calm and settled and secure from within, looking at the bigger picture when it comes to your inner security, your inner healing, looking at your spirituality there a great deal, expanding upon your spiritual values and practices. And then with Uranus then stationing retrograde, then this is about you perhaps retracing your steps or taking another look when it comes to how you can change things, okay? How it is that you can think outside of the box, okay? Or considering what breakthroughs come up for you when it comes to your behind the scenes alone time, when it comes to your your spirituality, your spiritual values there. And then lastly, for you, that full moon in Pisces will happen in your 10th house. So there's a lot going on for you here, Gemini, with Saturn retrograde and Neptune retrograde in your 10th house. So much, especially with Saturn there, so much to do with reestablishing yourself when it comes to the public, when it comes to your reputation, when it comes to your career path, your life's mission, your life's work. So the full moon in Pisces is going to be a time period for you to reset, shed old skin, for you to let go of what is no longer serving you, especially whatever isn't serving your soul. Okay. Again, looking at Pisces and how it's strongly tied to our inner selves, our spirituality. Cancer. Oh, Cancer. So, throughout August, you will be shining a light strongly upon your resources, okay, your belongings, your assets, banking. There's a lot of money stuff basically coming up for you throughout August. So much to do with money, so much to do with your physical security. Also, even thinking about your inner security, okay, your self-worth. So shining a light on these areas, and then with the full moon being in Aquarius in the 8th house throughout August, this is about you resetting and recharging with respect to shared resources, joint finances, debt, investments. This could even be a situation where you reap rewards, okay, to do with any investments that you've made. Or it could be that there is something that you reset with respect to debt, with respect to other people's money, other people's resources there. Also even highlighting then illuminating intimacy, unresolved trauma. I mean, this could even be a time period where it's like you seek some type of emotional support, okay, even thinking about psychologically speaking here. And the new moon in Leo will happen throughout August, just after Juno enters Leo, and this will be in your second house. So, with Venus being retrograde in your second house, I think this has been bringing up themes to do with these material resource matters that I just mentioned. So, reestablishing yourself, realigning your values, reassessing what it is that you desire, reassessing even your skills and your talents. But then with the new moon coming along in Leo, it's about, okay, time to set new intentions then. And with Juno also being in Leo, this is about, okay, this is also about a commitment. This is also about your loyalty to a certain plan, your loyalty to a certain strategy, or considering how it is that you align with a friend or with a partner with respect to these financial matters. Of course, with Juno and Venus both being there in your second house, and they can be strongly tied to relationships. Now, Mercury retrograde will happen in your third house, Cancer, throughout August. So I think for you, especially with you already having this Mercury ruled sign in your third house, I think for you, this is going to be a time period where you're going to be a little bit more quiet or introspective. I think this is going to be a time period where it's like, right, I really need to think about this. I need to think about the details. I need to think about the correctness, the accuracy of this situation. And also just thinking over communication, the importance of communication, or when it is that you don't communicate very well, or what is it about communication that needs to be improved somewhat there as well. And of course, with the sun entering Virgos toward August, or throughout August, should I say, the sun entering Virgo will get you shining a light on these very areas too. Now, Mars will then enter Libra in your fourth house throughout August, more toward the end of August. So, toward the end of August, I think that you are going to feel somewhat more motivated and driven when it comes to the living situation stuff, the family member stuff, okay, the family matter stuff. Maybe this is about you having to really be assertive, having to even take an independent approach, or having to be somewhat more direct. But then again, I suppose this is also Libra. Then again, the North Node is even in Aries as well, kind of urging this. But still, with Mars being in Libra, it could even be where it's like, okay, well, I do want to assert myself, but I also can recognize that it's maybe about me and my partner, or maybe it's about collaborating with someone, or maybe it's about being able to get somebody to help or to assist me in some way, shape, or form. Perhaps this is even an opportunity for you to truly understand the truth of a situation, the truth of a matter, especially within your family relationships. Excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. I had my dinner just before this live stream and it seems to still be. Oh. Anyway, your Uranus, Uranus retrograde will also happen in Taurus, and that will happen in your 11th house. Okay, so that will be toward the end of August. Of course, with Jupiter being in your 11th house, Cancer, what can I say? You've definitely been connecting with new people, connecting even on a more sort of expansive way where there's more people or there's more interactions, or you feel like you want to be part of something bigger, or you want to join together within certain clubs and groups. So that can be quite exciting, of course. But then as well, with Uranus retrograde happening in your 11th house, maybe there's something you haven't thought of yet, okay? Maybe there's a new strategy, okay? Maybe there's a new way of doing things that can be really useful for you. And perhaps that thing could even involve money or resources or some valuables. And then lastly, the full moon in Pisces will happen toward the very end of August, and that will happen in your 9th house, Cancer. So for you, Cancer, I think that there's a lot coming up here to do with further education, advanced training, just learning more, okay? Really expanding your mind, wanting to open yourself up to possibly new travel destinations or just more knowledge in general, okay? So with the full moon happening in your 9th house, I think you will be illuminating these things. I think you may even shed old skin to do with deeply held beliefs, or this is about releasing when it comes to how it is that you share information, how it is that you broadcast and publish. Okay, Leo. All right, Leo. So there's a lot going on for you, of course, throughout Leo season. It is your season. There's so much happening in your first house. So, of course, you will be shining a light upon your life path, your aims, your ambitions, your life direction, your title, your identity. So much personal stuff coming up for you, Leo, basically. And then the full moon will happen in your 7th house. And so you will be illuminating partnerships, collaborations, teamwork, how you negotiate. I think you may even reset or uh, release the ways in which you approach your relationships. And it could also be that you seek to gain something new from your relationships, or you seek a new type of support, or a new type of collaboration, or a business deal, a business matter that is outside of the box. So yeah, there is that. And then also, I would say with this that perhaps you even reap rewards to do with your collaborations during this time. And then what I further want to mention is the new moon will happen in Leo in your first house throughout August, just after Juno enters this sign. All right, so with Venus currently being retrograde in your first house, yeah, Leo, seriously, with Venus retrograde, this has been about you truly reassessing, going inward, right? When it comes to what it is that you want out of life, thinking about your aims, your ambitions, just even considering the path ahead, considering self-discovery, considering what else you want to learn about yourself, thinking about even self-actualization there, living up to your fullest potential, truly asking yourself, what is it that I desire? What is it that I want out of life? What are my passions? What are my interests? Yeah. And so with the new moon happening in this sign for you, you will be setting new intentions. It's quite a powerful new moon for you, I think. Even with Juno being there as well, there's a lot to do with how loyal you are with respect to yourself, thinking about self-acceptance, thinking about how shaken up you can be due to feedback or due to any criticisms. It's more like, no, 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 I know myself. I'm on the right path here. I'm headed in the right direction, and I know what I want out of life. So yeah, a lot of loyalty and commitment then with respect to your own sense of self. And then even at the same time, of course, with Venus and Juno both being there in your first house, of course, the identity tied to the first house that can change due to a marriage, proposals. Okay, just saying, commitments when it comes to relationships itself. Okay. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that this could even be a situation where other people are involved in these identity upgrades, so to speak, for you, these identity changes that are coming up for you. That could even be a job situation, a business situation. Okay. Anything also that changes your title, right? The first house is even tied to your title. Anyway, Mercury then will retrograde in your second house. So there's a lot of reorganizing going on for you, Leo, reorganizing your skills, your talents. Well, the funny thing about this is with having Virgo in the second house, your skills and talents may be very well tied to organization, right? Tied to hygiene or looking at the ways in which you can create order out of chaos as well, these types of things. So there is that. But yes, I think that this is about you reconsidering, okay, what are my findings? What can I change? How can I improve my everyday tasks? And how can I make things even easier for myself? And then also thinking over your resources, okay? Finance stuff, budgeting, saving, spending, your earning potential, okay, as well. Even looking at your habits when it comes to spending and shopping, etc. You may actually be quite frugal in this way if you have that Virgo energy in the second house. Then again, there can be a big part of Leo where it's like you can be luxurious. Yeah, anyway, basically, finances, okay? All right. The sun, of course, will enter Virgo throughout August, and so you will also be shining a light on these areas as well. Do keep in mind that with Mercury retrograde in Virgo, Virgo season as well begins the same day. Mars will enter Libra in your third house toward the end of August, and so there's something here about you really wanting to move forward when it comes to how you learn and communicate, of course, as well. And also seeing what types of relationships and partnerships you wish to establish with respect to communication. This could even look like you asserting yourself when it comes to collaborating with someone else. Okay, it's like sending that email. Okay, this could be where you have the courage to ask for support or to ask for someone else's opinion about something. That can be really helpful. Or this could even be a situation where you are somewhat more motivated and driven by sibling matters, cousin matters, your neighborhood. Okay, maybe there's just even a lot of stuff you got to do within your local area. And you may be quite social throughout the process with the Libra energy. And then with Uranus turning retrograde at the end of August in your 10th house, well, Leo, you have had Jupiter there in your 10th house, which has been expanding upon your business, if you have one, your profession, looking even at your reputation, your social status. I mean, there's just expansion there, growth there. It's slow growth, of course, it's Taurus energy, but it's still growth. And then with Uranus then being retrograde in this sign, okay, time to look at things in a whole new light. Time to go, you know what? Maybe I haven't considered that sort of approach. Maybe I didn't think about that when it comes to my reputation, when it comes to building my brand, when it comes to my image. Maybe I didn't think of it that way when it comes to even my life's mission or my purpose. And then lastly, the full moon in Pisces will happen in your 8th house. All right. So toward the very end of August, this is going to be an especially sensitive, emotional, vulnerable time for you, especially with Saturn and Neptune being there in your 8th house for a while. I think there's been a lot coming up, things you've stuffed down, things that you've buried, repressed emotions, any unresolved trauma for you, Leo. A lot of stuff has been felt. You've been working through a lot of things as well, emotional things, psychological things. So with the full moon happening, it's going to illuminate all of this stuff for you. And I think it's also about, okay, time to release, time to shed old skin. And then even let's consider shared resources, investments, any debts. These very things could be brought to your attention during that full moon in Pisces. Okay, so we're about to move on to Virgo. Ghost, you said you have a Leo rising. Brianna, hello, welcome. Just getting through these horoscopes. Right, Virgo. Okay, Virgo. So throughout August, you will be shining a light greatly upon your alone time, behind the scenes, how it is that you live it up when you're on your own, what it is that you enjoy whenever you escape, how it is that you retreat, those types of things that bring you joy and happiness, even reconnecting with your inner child there, the hidden parts of yourself as well. Yeah, these things you've been shining a light on, basically, Virgo, throughout Leo season. And then the full moon will happen in Aquarius in your 6th house throughout August. And so during this full moon, you will shed old skin when it comes to your health, what it is that's no longer serving you with respect to your habits, your routines. Maybe there's a change when it comes to a certain routine, a certain way of doing things. Or maybe it is that you realize a lot of stuff to do with your stress levels, how it is that you can manage your stress levels, even considering how you manage your time. So yeah, illuminating these things, possibly even reaping rewards when it comes to your services, especially thinking about the types of relationships that you have with coworkers, with employers there as well. And even looking at your inventions, any communities that you're a part of, and how such things are tied to your occupation. So illuminating these things, reaping rewards. Now, the new moon will happen in Leo in your 12th house, and this will happen the day after Juno enters Leo. So with Venus being right up for you, Virgo, well, when it comes to revisiting your dreams, reconnecting with your inner child, reconnecting with feelings of joy and happiness, just connecting more with yourself, I think, on a much deeper spiritual level. I think, especially for you, Virgos, the whole part of the Venus retrograde to do with, relationships and even like people from the past and all this stuff coming up. I think for you, it really is about stepping back and going, no, actually, I'm going behind the scenes. No, actually, I'm going to switch off, retreat, not give into it. Yeah, there's a lot of healing energy going on for you, Virgo, which is really good. And then also with Juno being there, well, actually take this a step back. The new moon in Leo will get you setting new intentions, okay? Setting new intentions when it comes to your head and self, setting new intentions when it comes to your inner child there. And then looking at Juno being in Leo, I think that there is a sense of commitment then, right? Committing to that time, committing to free time, committing to yourself, being able to be somewhat loyal toward what you need spiritually, what you need deep down. And then with Mercury retrograde happening in your 1st house throughout August, this is so perfect for you, Virgo, okay? Because of course, this is your sign. So this is a really great opportunity for you to go over all the document stuff, for you to go over all of the details, any accuracy that needs to be looked at, any correcting that needs to be done. This is really a good time for you to make those little tiny tweaks to your work, to your findings, to your learning, to communication as well, rethinking practical communication, even thinking about how these things are tied to your aims, your ambitions, your life path. And then with Virgo season happening this month, you're going to certainly be in the spotlight, okay? You're going to be shining a light on your identity, your sense of self. And then with Mars entering Libra in your 2nd house toward the end of August, this is a good opportunity for you to be driven, for you to be motivated when it comes to your earnings, your resources, how it is that you can even, so let me rephrase that. I think this is also about you addressing your skills and your talents. I do feel like I'm speaking really fast, so that's kind of why I'm going do. Anyway, yeah, skills, talents. So I think this could be quite a driving factor, right? You could feel very ambitious where it's like, right, okay, these are my skills. These are the things that I'm really good at. I want to get better at them, or I want to even use them in a different way, or I maybe want to weigh out my options, okay? And you might even feel somewhat more energized when it comes to money matters, even feeling somewhat more confident or energized when it comes to your self-worth, being more assertive when it comes to your self-worth. But again, with Libra energy, still being relatable, still being tactful, still being tactful and still being negotiable. And then with Uranus turning retrograde in your ninth house toward the end of August, well, let's think about how Jupiter has been in your ninth house, inviting expanding your publications, expanding how you broadcast, okay? Opening yourself up. And then with Uranus coming along and making that retrograde motion, maybe there are some ways you haven't thought about quite yet. And maybe this is about you having this outside of the box idea, a flash of insight, a change that can feel like an awakening of some sort. And then with the full moon happening in Pisces toward the very end of August for you, Virgo, of course, you will be shining a light then, illuminating relationships. Okay. Looking at relationships and your collaborations and your partnerships overall, resetting, reaping rewards possibly as well when it comes to those one-to-one relationships, even looking at shedding old skin when it comes to how it is that you align with others or how it is that you negotiate with others, looking at that give and take. And I would also say this could be where you release, you shed when it comes to even competitors, even when it comes to the hidden parts of yourself, the subconscious parts of yourself, which are often presented through other people. Okay, thinking about mirroring and projection when it comes to the seventh house, which has been quite big for you, of course, with Saturn being in your seventh house for the past while. Okay, Libra. All right, so Libra, throughout August, you have been shining a light greatly upon your networks, your teams, your groups, your alliances, okay? Thinking about the friendships that you have, how you can connect and relate within your friendships and teams, etc. And then there will be that full moon in Aquarius, which will happen in your fifth house. So, really addressing your ego, your individuality, how you stand out, resetting things, releasing a few things to do with these areas, and possibly reaping rewards. Reaping rewards when it comes to your hobbies, your interests, your passions, the things that you enjoy, even looking at how you can shed old skin when it comes to your free time, how it is that you spend your free time, your leisure activities there. Now, the new moon in Leo will happen in your 11th house throughout August as well. And then Juno will, of course, enter Leo by that time. So with Venus retrograde happening in your 11th house, Libra, I think that there has been a lot coming up for you with respect to, how you relate to the group, okay? Revisiting how it is that you relate, how it is that you feel valued within the group, and how it is that you show value. What is it that you do value when it comes to your groups and alliances and your communities, even thinking about revisiting larger networks, even having another look at the very value of your non-conforming ideas. And then with the new moon happening in Leo, okay, time to shine a light on these areas, right? Time to shine a light on these things and to also set new intentions, right? So setting new intentions when it comes to these areas. And then what I'll also say with this, with Juno there, I think this is largely about seeing, okay, well, who is loyal? What friends are loyal? What friends have my back? What group members are committed to this situation. And well, at the same time, who isn't, right? Like I was saying with Juno energy, there can be a sense of betrayal when it comes to Juno as well, which I just want to mention. But basically, a lot to do with these groups of yours, Libra. Okay. Now, Mercury will retrograde in your 12th house. So, throughout August, I think this is actually a good time for you to go inward and to really reflect upon what it is that you need mentally, okay? What it is that you need for your mental health, even spiritually as well, and how it is that you need to rest your mind, okay? Your stress levels. It could be that throughout August, it's just like there's a lot of mental energy happening because you're thinking about everything all the time. Even consider how Mercury will actually be in Virgo throughout August, okay? I just want to say that. Of course, Mercury will enter August or will enter Virgo on the 20th of July, okay? Still, this retrograde could have you very well reconsidering, I am exhausted. I'm mentally drained. I am needing really to rest my mind right now. I need to recenter, refocus here. And then with the sun entering Virgo, okay, time to shine a light on these areas. I just want to go back there and say, I said with the new moon shining a light. Yeah, so used to saying that with the sun throughout these readings. But yeah, basically the new moons it's largely about setting new intentions. All right, so the really interesting thing for you as well, Libra, is Mars will enter your first house throughout this month. Okay, so it is your time to really get things moving, okay? It is your time to really be driven and to be motivated, especially with respect to your aims, your ambitions, your life path, your direction. Okay, it is time to get yourself focused upon your goals. There could be a very busy time period for you whilst Mars is in Libra. Now, Uranus will also start to station retrograde in your 8th house throughout August. Now, do keep in mind with Jupiter being there, I think that this can point toward shared resources. This can point toward ownership, any debts, inheritance possibly, even expanding upon these things, gaining some type of wealth or fortune through somebody else. This could also look like you truly expanding upon intimacy and what it is that you need when it comes to intimacy, when it comes to even sex and vulnerability. But with Uranus making that retrograde in your 8th house, well, for you, Libra, perhaps you will then consider some ideas that you haven't thought of yet, okay? Or it's that there will be unexpected changes that will happen that you'll be forced to address, okay? Things will be disrupted, but that can be in a beneficial way, okay? This doesn't have to be this disastrous, terrible way. This can actually be in a beneficial, helpful, useful, practical way for you. And then lastly, Libra, with the full moon happening in your 6th house in Pisces toward the end of August, all right, it is time to really let go of what isn't working when it comes to your stress levels, when it comes to time management, when it comes to all the many things that you're doing. Okay, Saturn even in your 6th house right now, Libra. Oh, that can be a lot of pressure. Let's just say that. Many commitments, many duties, many responsibilities. Perhaps you're feeling the pressure. The moon in Pisces is going to give you an opportunity to release, to shed, and to possibly also, reap rewards. Okay, I'm just going to take a drink of water. All right, so we're nearly there. And I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much for being here. I hope you're finding these horoscopes to be useful so far. And like I said, I will post the timestamps at the very end. Okay, Scorpio. Let's get into this. Scorpio, throughout August, you will be shining a light upon, look at this is the 10th house being highlighted for you. You'll be shining a light strongly upon your life's mission, your life's work, the things that you seek to achieve, the things that you seek to accomplish in this life, the things even that you wish to be somewhat recognized for. And I know that sounds very contradictory because I was talking about the Leo energy. It's not about doing something for the recognition, but it still feels good when you are recognized for your life's work and for the things that you've worked really, really hard for, right? It's still good. It's still a good feeling, right, to be recognized. So yes, shining a light on these areas for you. Then there will be the full moon in Aquarius happening in your 4th house throughout August. So this is about you really being honest with yourself about what needs to be let go. You know, what needs to be let go when it comes to family, close relationships, emotional relationships, when it comes to your emotional needs as well. What is it that you wish to shed? What is it that needs to kind of be addressed and revisited? Looking at a reset there as well, even considering what you need, what you need, not just emotionally, but also what you need with respect to your living situation. And with the new moon happening in your 10th house throughout August, well, Juno will have entered Leo by this time period. And then with Venus also being retrograde in your 10th house, I mean, you have been going over and over the type of money you want to make, for example, or the ways in which you wish to be known. So looking at your sense of authority or being this leader, being a boss, being a manager. I suppose when we talk about the recognition, it's like, yeah, of course, we also want to be recognized, because if you consider how it is that you can go for an interview, you may go for that interview. It's like, yeah, there's a sense of recognition. That's why you got the job, because you were recognized by the employer, by whoever it is. So basically, to put it back to you, Scorpio, I just think that you're going through this time period right now where you're sort of you're sort of thinking about, okay, like I can see my successes, I can see what I've accomplished, but there's something else, right? Maybe there's something else there for you, something to do with your values, something to do with your resources, your finances, something to do with your societal position, your public position. Even if it is that you're a Scorpio who is a leader, right? Many Scorpios go into leadership positions. You do have Leo in the 10th house. This makes total sense. Total sense. Yeah, management could be a big thing then coming up for you, Scorpio, throughout August. Okay, and then with the new moon happening in Leo, well, this is about you then setting new intentions. Woohoo! New intentions when it comes to these areas. And with Juno being there, okay, this could be like a long-term contract. This could be a permanent contract. This could be like a commitment. Okay, sign your name on the dotted line. Though, of course, do keep in mind, Venus is retrograde. This isn't to say that you shouldn't sign your name on the dotted line during a Venus retrograde, but it is to say, show caution. Okay, be careful. So yeah, but basically with Juno still being there, it can look at commitment and loyalty as well. Loyalty to a certain organization, loyalty to a certain employer or a boss or a manager, or you being that boss or manager and then looking at where your loyalties lie. Now, Mercury will also retrograde in your 11th house throughout August. So this time period is a good way for you to go over all the info, to break things down, to make sure that you have all the information you need with respect to a big company, with respect to organizations, with respect to any teams or alliances you're a part of, even just rethinking how practical you are, how practical minded you can be, or the ways in which you can communicate in practical ways so that things make sense. So to ensure that you have all the information that you need, or so that you can understand what is being said, what is being communicated from friends, from members of the group, from clubs you're a part of. Okay, so thinking about those members within the clubs you're a part of. And then with Virgo season, this is going to be a time period then of you shining a light on these bigger networks of yours, these communities of yours. Okay, now the interesting thing I think for you, Scorpio, is Mars. Keep in mind that Mars is one of your chart rulers. Mars is actually going to be entering your 12th house toward the end of August in Libra. So I would say with this one, actually, I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I know you like me to keep it real, especially for you, Scorpio. But I think that this could be a time period where you're just like drained, right? It could be, right, with all this Leo energy going on in your 10th house of like career or your profession. So much has been coming up. And it's like You have to be energetic. You have to go on to the next thing. You got to work hard. You got to put in the effort. And it's almost like no matter how many times maybe I suggest about, oh, it's important to reset, recharge, etc., it's almost like nothing in your life right now is helping, right? It's like you're being pushed anyway into all of these experiences where you gotta keep moving. This could be, just all these commitments, these work commitments, these relationship commitments where you just don't get a minute. So with Mars entering the 12th house for you, I think it's going to highlight, I'm going to be honest, a bit of a burnout. This can highlight a time period where it's like, you need to restore the balance right now. You need to think about equilibrium. And I mean this in like a very strong, serious way right now because of all of the stuff that's been happening leading up to it, even with the South Node entering your 12th house there. So I just think, yeah, there's something here about your energy levels. There's something here about you just maybe taking a few days, taking a week to just go within, to recenter yourself there. Now, Uranus will also start to turn retrograde in Taurus in your 7th house. So let's firstly think about Jupiter being in your 7th house for the past while. Big opportunities to do with partnerships, collaborations, looking at how you have become opened up to teamwork, negotiations. Also thinking about how it is that you can expand when it comes to business deals, contracts, agreements. Great opportunities here, right? Slow opportunities, slow success, but great opportunities. But then with Uranus then turning retrograde, this could be where it's like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe it's a good idea to revisit the patterns or the structures and to see what can be changed, or to maybe even just take a moment to see what else can be innovated, or what other ways can you look at things, and possibly just having more of these outside of the box ideas, okay? Showcasing greater originality, especially with respect to those business partnerships or your relationships and how they're tied to money, how they're tied to assets and resources there. And then with the full moon happening in Pisces in your 5th house, well, toward the end of August, this is really about resetting romantic matters. Romantic relationship matters, looking at dating. Maybe this is about reconnecting with your romantic partner in a different way. Maybe this is about seeing, what is it that you can change so that you feel closer, or this is about resetting the ways in which you show up with respect to creativity, your hobbies, your interests. I mean, with Saturn being there in your 5th house, especially, you are certainly rebuilding, restructuring things when it comes to romance and hobbies and art and entertainment and enjoyment. Though at the same time, I would also say with Saturn there being in the 5th house, it can suggest some restriction as well, right? These restrictions, even when it comes to romance and love. So maybe the full moon in Pisces will help you kind of recognize what it is that you would like to change, basically. Change in a spiritual way or in an emotional way. Brianna, I just want to stop for a moment and to read. So, Brianna, you said your moon and your MC in the 11th house, more independent for you than a permanent contract would be best for you. Okay. But need of rest. So do you have a Scorpio rising, I'm assuming? You had 5 days off and they've been non-stop. Yeah. You said just finally ready to shed what isn't you. They spend $200 at Goodwill. Do you know, I just want to say thank you for sharing your experiences with me. So you say you have your moon in Scorpio. Oh, okay. Okay. I get you. Thank you for sharing your experiences with me. And I do apologize if, with not really responding in the here and now. It's just because I'm trying to also focus on these horoscopes and I want to get this information out to people. Okay, so let's look at Sagittarius now. Sagittarius. Okay, so throughout August, you will be shining a light strongly upon advanced training, furthering your education, looking even at your publications, how you broadcast, how you publish, how you share, how you teach. And then with the full moon happening in your third house throughout August, I think that you, of course, will be illuminating neighborhood stuff, sibling stuff, cousin stuff, shedding old skin when it comes to your local area, when it comes to short distance travel. I think that there will be many questions that you will have with respect to vehicles, transport, or possibly even releasing what isn't working there. Possibly as well reaping rewards to do with communication, to do with education as well. Now, the new moon will also happen in your ninth house throughout August. So, with that, Juno will have entered Leo, and then Venus will also be retrograde in your ninth house. For you, Sagittarius, I think that there has been a lot unfolding when it comes to the very value of your training, the very value of your higher learning. Maybe even thinking about long distance travel, anywhere that you wish to reconnect with, anywhere that you wish to travel to again. Or it's that you've been recognizing how relatable your beliefs are or your philosophies are. Maybe it's about staying true to your philosophies and your values and reconsidering them in a way where it's like, yeah, do you know what? I need to stay true to these. And I need to feel a certain way as well when it comes to my values and my philosophies. And with the new moon happening there, setting new intentions then, right? Setting new intentions when it comes to the ways in which you preach or broadcast or share. And then with Juno also being there, I think there's a lot of themes here to do with your own faith, right? Even if you are a Sagittarius who is very religious, you consider yourself to be a religious person, then yeah, this could be where it's like, right, this is my faith, that these are the religious teachings that I've learned about and that I stay true to. So this could be really you reconnecting with your religious beliefs or your religious values, or even if you are a Sagittarius who you're not necessarily religious, but you do have some type of belief system or philosophy or a spiritual code or certain morals that you follow, etc. Then yeah, this is still an opportunity for you to reconnect with these things, perhaps in a whole new way, like in a more childlike, innocent way, in a playful way, possibly. Now, with the Mercury energy, so Mercury will retrograde in your 10th house. So there's a lot to be revisited and reassessed when it comes to your public image, your societal position, okay, your career, the services that you provide to the public, these types of areas, even thinking about your persona, your online persona, really looking at these areas in a very practical way, trying to break things down to their simplest form. And then with the Virgo season starting, shining a light then on career matters, even shining a light then upon any achievements or successes or accomplishments that you wish to follow or to reach. And then what I would also say is with Mars entering your 11th house toward the end of August, well, this can actually really point toward being a leader when it comes to friendships, teams, groups, communities that you've started, communities that you're a part of. Yeah, being a leader, being this direct, influential person where you can direct others, but it's not in this super Aries bold to the point way, but it can be in a tactful, diplomatic way. Okay. Yeah. Getting others to sort of do what you want them to do, but of course, in a kind, thoughtful way. This could be a good opportunity for you to even look at what it is that drives you, what drives you, what motivates you when it comes to groups you're a part of, what it is that you want to achieve, any goals that you have in mind when it comes to the groups you're a part of. Then with Uranus retrograde in Taurus toward the end of August for you, do keep in mind that Jupiter is there as well in the 6th house. A lot coming up to do with work, your health, your services, your everyday routines. For you, Sagittarius, it's just been one thing after the other. Maybe you've even enjoyed it, right? It's like, okay, I can handle this. Okay, there's expansion happening. There's many things happening, but I have the faith. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to see the glass is half full. Of course, this is you, Sagittarius, and this is Jupiter, your chart ruler, being there in the sixth house. But still, with Uranus there making that retrograde in your sixth house, I also think that, you know what, you could play around with new ideas. You could be opened up to a new experience. Maybe there is something you have not thought of yet when it comes to a certain routine or a habit, or even looking at making your health a priority and how there can be sudden changes when it comes to your health as well. And then lastly, the full moon happening in Pisces in your fourth house. Yeah, for you, Sagittarius, throughout August, there's just a lot to do with family related matters, okay? Your housing situation, your living situation. With the full moon happening in Pisces toward the end of August, it's going to illuminate these things. Even with Saturn being there, I think there's been restriction, there's been limitations to do with home and family, but it's also looking at what can be reconstructed, what can be built upon, how you can be disciplined as well when it comes to your living situation. With the full moon then happening there in the fourth house for you, perhaps you will reset a few matters to do with these family things, to do with even your emotional security as well. You know, thinking about your spiritual self, what it is that you need emotionally in order to feel safe and secure, and that may involve something more spiritual. Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn. So throughout August, you will shine a light strongly upon this eighth house area for you, okay? So let's firstly think about joint resources, joint financial planning. Let's think about other people's money. Let's think about debt. Let's think about ownership as well, joint ownership. So shining a light on these areas strongly. And then with the full moon happening in Aquarius throughout August, this is about you resetting things to do with your personal resources, your personal assets, your personal finances. This is about you even shedding old skin, releasing when it comes to any skills of yours, any talents you have, even looking at your inner security, right? Your self-worth. Perhaps there are a few things that come up for you strongly during that full moon in Aquarius that you wish to let go of when it comes to inner security. And then also with the new moon happening in Leo in your eighth house, I mean, I do find it interesting for you, Capricorn, the fact that you have Leo in the eighth house, because this can suggest that you experience such growth, such transformations when it comes to your confidence, your self-assurance. But this is also quite a difficult task. It can be really challenging, especially if it is that you're forced to change, you're forced to go through a transformation. Still, with the new moon happening there, and then of course with Juno entering Leo as well, do keep in mind that Venus retrograde is there in your eighth house. You're going to be setting new intentions to do with these transformations of yours. So let's consider Venus retrograde. With Venus retrograde being in your eighth house right now, I think that now and over the next coming weeks, you're strongly going to be reviewing these. Okay, the shared resource, joint finance matters, okay, that stuff, but also the heavy stuff, the very emotional stuff, vulnerabilities, what's hidden, unresolved trauma, even thinking about intimacy, right? Intimate relationships tied to the eighth house, looking at what you need when it comes to intimacy, how you feel when it comes to intimacy, how connected, how close you feel. Okay, these areas have been looked at in a whole new way. And it's really been a time period of recognizing, okay, your individuality within it all and your confidence within it all too. Now, with the new moon then in Leo, like I said, this is about setting new intentions to do with these very areas. And with Juno being in Leo, commitments, loyalties, right? Faithfulness, meaningful bonds, meaningful relationships. Oh my goodness. Yeah. You're really going to go inward as you consider these types of areas. Okay. These types of things when it comes to the eighth house, these eighth house matters. Now, Mercury will also retrograde in your ninth house. So I think for you, I think for you, Capricorn, this could be a time period where you decide to take on something that's quite practical, thinking about an advanced training program, a higher educational program, where you're like, okay, I want to go back and do that. I want to even look at how I can teach in a new way, or I can become more informed about something, or where I can even publish something in a different way. This is about the retrograde and how it's more tied to revisiting an old pattern, an old habit, an old way of doing things. So yes, you could very well reconsider, okay, this is something that I want to teach, or this is something that I want to share with the world, this is something that I want to broadcast. But similarly, looking at furthering your own knowledge too. Now, with the sun also entering Virgo for you throughout August, all right, time to shine a light on these areas as well. And then with Mars entering your 10th house, Capricorn, my goodness, toward the end of August, this is going to be a very ambitious time. This is going to be a very hardworking time, this go-getter energy. This is about, right, I'm going to get things done when it comes to my career, when it comes to anything else that I want to achieve, my successes, my accomplishments. It's time to get things moving. And you may even be motivated by certain business partnerships or business deals that you make. But it's almost like you'll be known for these business deals and these business partnerships. And perhaps also this is about kind of getting the public to do what you want them to do, but doing it in such a graceful, polite, tactful way. Now, Uranus will also retrograde in your 5th house in Taurus. So this will be toward the end of August. Now let's think about Jupiter for a moment. So Jupiter has been in your 5th house for the past while. So this is suggesting great expansion when it comes to your creativity, okay? Even thinking more about the bigger picture when it comes to your creativity, creating more of this sort of serene, calming presence, or looking at your artistic qualities, your artistic hobbies and interests. So yeah, expanding upon these areas, and perhaps also expanding upon childlike behaviors, or looking at children in general. Maybe it is that more children have been part of the picture. Let's just say that throughout the past while for you. Now, with Uranus being in Taurus and with the retrograde happening, okay, this is then about looking at your creativity in a whole new light, considering, okay, I have not thought about it that way. Oh, this is a light bulb moment for me, or this is the flash of insight that I'm gaining here, which can be very inspirational and encouraging. And this is the way that I wish to be artistic, or this is the way that I wish to show up when it comes to children, or when it comes to my individuality and my self-expression. Then lastly, for you Capricorn, the full moon in Pisces will happen in your 3rd house, okay? So illuminating communication things, okay? Illuminating the area of life to do with vehicles, short distance travel, looking at siblings, your classmates, and then, of course, shedding old skin, resetting, recharging as well, perhaps because this will be the full moon in Pisces. I mean, this could even be a situation where you have to go inward and really consider like a relationship, a sibling relationship or a cousin relationship that's very difficult or challenging or limiting for you. Okay, of course, with Saturn being there in your 3rd house, or this could be an opportunity for you to let go of what no longer is serving you with respect to communication blockages or learning blockages. Or maybe it's even about showcasing a greater deal of compassion and love. Okay, so we're nearly there. Okay. Aquarius. Actually, before we do, Brianna, you do what you need to do. Oh, you said that to me. It's more about finances for you as Capricorn rising. It's been more about finances. Okay. Maybe be in this case learning a new area related to your university formation. So if you are in university, I just want to say to you, Brianna, good luck. Good luck with your course. Okay, Aquarius. Aquarius, let's get into your horoscopes. So throughout August, you will essentially be shining a light upon, well, any unresolved trauma, looking at your psyche, exploring your hidden self, your unconscious self, looking at even being practical when it comes to your unconscious self. Though, of course, do keep in mind that with Leo season as well. Do you know what? I'm just going to start from the beginning with Aquarius because I started to read from Virgo. I'm going to start from the beginning, but I am going to have another drink of water. I think it's because my throat is the best. And I have a bit of a tooth situation. It's kind of sore. So yeah, I just need to breathe. Just breathe. Thank you for your patience though, everyone. Thank you. This is it. When you're live, this is it. This is it. Can't go back and edit when you're live, right? Can't. Okay. All right, let's do this. Do you know what? I'm actually going to turn on the light as well because it's getting quite dark. It'll be 2 seconds. Thank you, Brianna. That's really kind of you. Thank you. I think it's a wisdom tooth that's pushing through at the very back. It's so annoying. And then also, I think because I knew that I wanted the light on, and I'm just so aware of my surroundings. Maybe that's a Virgo rising thing. I'm not sure. Okay. Right. So let's get into this. Aquarius. So throughout August, you will essentially be shining a light upon, well, your partnerships, your relationships. I think for you, especially with having this Leo stellium in the 7th house, I think a big part of it is about, seeing where you feel the connection, seeing where you feel love and what it is that you love as well, how it is that you approach your relationships, how it is that you feel inspired and encouraged within your relationships. And then I even think that there is this subconscious, unconscious part of it all. Of course, the 7th house is tied to the unconscious, it's tied to mirroring and projecting. So perhaps you will also be shining a light on these things or just becoming more aware about your shadow, so to speak. And then with the full moon happening in your 1st house, Aquarius, well, this full moon happening in your 1st house throughout August, well, it's going to illuminate what it is that you really want, what path you're headed in, what direction you're headed in, your aims, your goals, your ambitions, even illuminating, your physical condition, your physical body, your identity. Maybe there's some resetting to do with your physical body there. And then with the new moon happening in Leo there throughout August, of course, Juno will have entered Leo and then Venus retrograde will be there in your 7th house. So this is about you setting new intentions to do with your partnerships and your relationships. And then even with that Venus energy being retrograde, I think this could show up as you just reconnecting with a partner, with a lover, with a friend, with someone from the past, with someone who you used to be quite close to. Or this could look like if you have children, for example, this could look like you reconsidering your values there when it comes to your children, or reconsidering your own childlike qualities when it comes to your children and how your children can often bring out these childlike qualities. And then I think just in general, the Venus retrograde can be quite eye-opening for you in that it's really about exploring your shadow. Like I was saying earlier, it's been about exploring your shadow. And this can, of course, be connected to confidence and self-assurance and being able to put yourself out there and to put yourself into the spotlight. And so with the new moon happening in this sign for you in Leo, setting new intentions, it's time to set new intentions for you, Aquarius, during the new moon there to do with these things. And then with Juno also entering Leo, my goodness, what can I say about this? Venus and Juno both in Leo, especially coming out of Venus retrograde throughout September. And I know that this is August, but still, this could be thoughts to do with marriage, proposals, okay, raising a family, having children. This could be even where you see where your commitments and loyalties lie when it comes to a committed partnership of yours, which of course this could be romantic, but this could also be a business deal, a business partnership, the contract of your life, okay, the agreement of your life. But yeah, just be able to slow down, to be able to reassess and review a few things. And the interesting thing about this, of course, is Mercury will retrograde in your 8th house. So you will indeed be reflecting when it comes to psychological matters, when it comes to your hidden self. You'll be somewhat more introspective, I think, when it comes to any unresolved trauma, anything that you're working through psychologically there, even considering intimacy and closeness and how it is that you open up to others. I think this is about you taking another look, okay? Maybe seeing what else you haven't looked at yet, or how it is that you can improve, what tweaks you can make. And at the same time, taking another look at the shared financial stuff, okay, joint ownership stuff, any debts as well. And of course, with the sun entering Virgo, you will shine a light on these very areas throughout August. Now, the other thing for you, Aquarius, is with Mars entering your 9th house throughout August, well, this could very well give you this fuel, this fire in your stomach to get traveling, to take on a new higher educational program, to even publish, to teach in a whole new way. And it's like, right, okay, it's time to do the thing. It's time to teach. It's time to present something new. It's time to travel to that country that you've always wanted to travel to, or even just to put a plan in place there. Or this could even be a situation where it's like you and your partner come together, or you your beliefs or your philosophies, you expand on your worldviews. There's so much action and activity when it comes to your worldviews and your beliefs there, Aquarius. And then with Uranus then making this retrograde motion in your 4th house in Taurus, well, let's think about Jupiter for a moment. So Jupiter has been in your 4th house for a while, and this has indeed been expanding your values when it comes to home and family, expanding upon what it is that you need emotionally, and just being very honest with yourself. And then also being realistic and doing something about it, right? Aligning yourself then with your values and having more of this chilled demeanor about everything, or being able to relax more. And then with Uranus, of course, being retrograde in your 4th house, well, okay, then this is about these outside of the box ideas. This is about reconsidering your changes, your differences that you're making when it comes to homemaking, when it comes to your physical security. I mean, maybe there's a different way, maybe there's a different path that you haven't explored, that you haven't even thought about yet when it comes to your physical sort of living situation, right? Your physical security there, and how such things align with your living situation. And then also, I would say perhaps there's something quite out of the blue to do with family relationships, family members that can come up, okay? And then lastly for you, Aquarius, the full moon in Pisces. Okay, that full moon in Pisces will happen in your 2nd house. So you will indeed be illuminating all of the possessions you own, bringing some type of awareness to your possessions, or just thinking about what you need to change, what needs to be reset, what needs to be released, even thinking about any assets you have, thinking about banking, your earning, how you spend. And the interesting thing, of course, with this is Saturn has been in your 2nd house, Aquarius. So this has been creating, I think, it's been pointing toward some restriction, some challenges there, some limitations there. But it's also about maturity, okay? I think you're learning a lot about just where your commitments lie then, or how you can be disciplined. How you can be disciplined, how you can be mature when it comes to your resources and your goods, your valuables. But still, the moon in Pisces will show up as you shedding old skin, and possibly even reaping a few rewards to do with your skills, talents, and your earnings. Yes. Hello, Ashley. So yeah, this is basically for the signs. It's a transit video, yeah. Live chart readings will be on Friday. So we're getting into the last sign, Pisces. Pisces, if you're still here, thank you for your patience. Or you'll probably just fast forward to the very end once this video is up. All right, and I just want to say in general, thank you all for being here. I hope you're enjoying these horoscopes so far. Yeah, all right. So, Pisces. Throughout August for you, Pisces, basically you will be shining a light upon all of the daily stuff, okay? Looking at your habits, your routines, your nutrition, your diet, looking at your productivity levels, your stress levels, time management. A lot of this stuff is coming up for you throughout August. Of course, there is that stellium there happening in the 6th house for you. And of course, with the sun being there, shining a light on these areas throughout August. Now, there will be that full moon in Aquarius that will happen in your 12th house. So this could be a moon where, okay, time to take yourself behind the scenes, time to do what you do best, Pisces, and recharge, time to reset, to go inward, to reflect, time to revisualize, to imagine, to dream, and to possibly let a few things go, okay? To shed old skin when it comes to retreating, when it comes to your spirituality. And then there will be that new moon in your 6th house that will happen throughout August. And of course, keep in mind that Juno will be there. And then there will be Venus retrograde already in your 6th house. So, with Venus being retrograde in your 6th house, this has been bringing up the ways in which you can really revisit your services, the work that you do, okay? Thinking about your occupation, thinking about your coworker relationships, the types of relationships that you have with employers, employees. So, yeah, revisiting these types of relationships for you, Pisces, and then thinking about how valued you feel by coworkers, or thinking about how you can relate when it comes to coworkers. And also, I would say, reassessing your health, okay? Making your health a priority perhaps is going to come up strongly for you throughout this Venus retrograde. And with the sun, or the new moon rather, happening in Leo throughout August, you will set new intentions to do with these things. And then also with Juno being there, this is also about saying, okay, what about commitments? What about loyalty? What about trust here? Devotion. Which types of positions do you feel loyal toward? Or do you even feel a sense of loyalty from certain employers? Or maybe it's about looking at how you can put yourself first, okay? Going back to health there, and how important that is going to be for you throughout August. And considering as well those meaningful bonds, those meaningful relationships when it comes to people that you work with, who are the genuine sort of true people, who are more real, so to speak, okay? Considering these things, these relationships for you. Now, Mercury will retrograde in your 7th house throughout August as well in Virgo. So I think that this is a good opportunity for you to just think more about what is being communicated, what is being shared and said relationship-wise. Really taking your time to reflect upon, okay, like before I say that thing, or even reflecting upon any contracts or agreements that come up, or reflecting upon any new business opportunities, business deals that come up, any collaborations. It could be a time period where you feel somewhat like inspired, even with the sun entering Virgo throughout August, you'll shine a light on these areas, right? And there can be a sense of like vitality and aliveness there. But still, the Mercury retrograde could be a situation where it's like, right, okay, let me just go inward. Let me just think about this. Let me see if I have all of the data, all of the information. Is everything correct? So yeah, considering all of the data and information when it comes to business, relationships, and partnerships overall. Now, Mars will enter Libra in your 8th house toward the end of August. Okay. So I think that this is a good opportunity for you to really go underneath the surface. Okay. When it comes to your anger, any repressed feelings there to do with aggression or frustration. Also looking at the ways in which you feel tension or anger when it comes to relationships there in general. And the reason why I'm saying relationships is because the 8th house can be tied to intimacy there too. And then with Libra is a sign of relationships. So yeah, I think it could be that it's really looking at the deeper themes to do with intimacy and connection there. And you may even be motivated or driven by these types of relationships. But then I would also say, with the 8th house being tied to shared resources and joint ownership, maybe you're going to feel somewhat motivated when it comes to these areas. Okay. Maybe you're going to be a go-getter, or you're going to set certain goals in place to do with shared resources, shared finances, even looking at your partner's money as well there. Now, Uranus will also retrograde in your 3rd house, Pisces. So let's think about how Jupiter is in your 3rd house in Taurus and how that has been bringing up so much growth with respect to your voice, your speech, how you communicate, how you share information, how you can learn more details, how you can pick up on something new. And then also looking at the expansion going on with respect to your local neighborhood, your more general connections, your smaller networks and teams, etc. But with Uranus retrograde happening in your 3rd house, well, maybe this could look at sudden changes when it comes to these matters. This could look at some disruptions coming up to do with communication, to do even with your mentality. It could be even some breakthroughs, right? Breakthroughs when it comes to a certain way of thinking, when it comes to a certain way of communicating, even certain improvements or new ways of doing things with respect to siblings, cousins, your neighbors as well. And then lastly, for you Pisces, the full moon will happen in your sign toward the very end of August. So let's firstly consider how Saturn is there. Neptune is there as well, but especially with Saturn there, I think for you Pisces, there's a lot that's happening for you with respect to maturity and growth. And I think there's a lot to do with reconstructing your identity, and possibly even uh, becoming somewhat more disciplined when it comes to your aims and your ambitions. So with the moon, the full moon, sorry, happening in your 1st house, this is going to illuminate these things for you. And I think it's also going to bring up, what can be shed, what can be released when it comes to these areas as well. Possibly even resetting the ways in which you look at yourself, right? Thinking about your physical condition, thinking about your physical body. Okay, so that's us, everyone. That is August. That is August. I just want to take a moment to thank you all so much for listening, especially for anyone who's been there here for the whole time. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you find your horoscopes to be helpful. I wish you all the best this August. And if you did enjoy this presentation, then you can always buy me a coffee by going to the link. It's also in the description box. And as I say, I will add the timestamps at the very end. I'll put them in the comment section. And then also, what else do I want to say? I think I just even want to say, I feel like I haven't been fully 100% today. Haven't been fully 100% today. And that's just my own sort of observation of myself. But anyway, maybe I'm judging myself too hard, but I haven't felt 100%. And I think maybe it's because the whole tooth situation, or maybe there's something astrologically going on, sun, square moon right now. Anyway, I will post the signs in the comment section. And also, I just want to remind you of all the different products that I have available. There's a guide, cheat sheets, there's eBooks, merch, all that good stuff. And I just want to take a moment and say thank you all so much. Brianna, thank you kindly. Very nice of you. Hopefully it eases a little bit. And with that being said, do make sure to give this video a like if you did like it today, subscribe, keep updated, all that good stuff. And that's me. I wish you all a lovely week ahead. Have a great week. And I hope August is a beneficial month for you. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you all very, very soon.